What up?
What up, Chad Prinkey?
How you doing, Matt Verderamo?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
You know, I'm pretty darn good. It's my very favorite time of year, seasonally. The work that we're doing with our clients is a ton of fun. But I have been very, very tired at the end of every day.
You have been busy.
Yeah, well, it takes one to know one.
Well, you've been all around the country in the last couple of weeks, so.
I have. Yeah, it's been a good time. We've been hopefully making an impact everywhere we go, and at the very least, making great friends everywhere we go, which has been nice.
That I'll tell you, when you go out and you travel, it's always a hard thing, but it's like one of the most fulfilling things that you get. Like as soon as you start getting back to the airport on the plane home, it's like, we got so much good stuff done. Because so much good stuff gets done virtually too, but it's so good to spend time with people in person. And I think you and I are both empaths in a lot of ways. And so being able to be with people individually makes a big difference, or big groups of people too makes a big difference.
Don't lump me in with you people.
You don't think you don't think that about yourself? Or you just play
I'm
one?
I'm empathetic.
You are.
I just don't. Nobody feels like you, my man.
Yeah. Well, that's probably very true. That's probably very true. I have so many feelings.
So you've got a baby.
I do. Yeah. That's probably the big news. 7.5 weeks old.
So good.
Yeah, that's been crazy. There's definitely like chemical changes that happen in your brain when this all happens. And I know that definitely is for the mother, but there must be for the father too. Cause it's like this expansive kind of, world expansive kind of thing that happens. And, the only way that I know how to the best way that I know how to describe it right now is like anytime that I ever knew someone who had a kid, I was always like happy for them. But I also always kind of knew that I didn't really get it. Like it was like, oh, I'm so happy for you that you're having a kid. And then now anytime somebody that tells me they're having a kid, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you. You're going to love it. It's so cool. And that's been a cool experience.
Well, I genuinely must say that, your overall demeanor and your like control of your recognition of your emotions and your control thereof and all those types of things. It's an incredible gift that I didn't have when I had my first, that, your ability to kind of like hear the crying and be like, that's my son, and be like good about it. That's rare, man. Most people are like, this is crazy. Everything's loud. And I'm sure you have those moments, right?
Definitely have those moments. Yeah.
Yeah. But still,
no, but it's good.
I can tell that this has happened for you and not to you.
Well, and one of the cool things that my dad said to me shortly after it happened was like, oh, you guys have been preparing for this for 11 years. Cause Maria and I have been together, that long. And so that was like a aha moment for me too. Like, yeah, I think that makes everything a lot easier. And I know you and your wife were together for a long time before you had yours. So I think just that whole thing helps.
I think it does. Yeah, I think it does. I think it's and yet you still had no idea what you're really getting yourself into.
No.
Am I right? I mean,
no. And there's no way to prepare for it. There's absolutely no way to prepare for it. I was just I don't know why I'm bringing this up. It's going to make me sad, but I was just at the Ravens game on Sunday. I'm sad about the Ravens. Yeah. With my buddy who's about to have a baby. And he's like, I just don't know if we're prepared yet. And it's like, there's no way. You just are going to have to go into survival mode for a few weeks. You'll be all right.
That's a part of it.
Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're doing well now, but you're gonna just be so great at this. I am really confident about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chad. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, enough being nice. Let's get it down to business, brother.
I know. That was very nice.
Yeah, jeez. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not. I'm sorry to our audience. That's who I'm apologizing. They're probably like, "Come on, Prinkey."
Yeah. We expect this from Matt, but come on, Chad.
Yeah, Chad's gotten soft. Jeez.
Yeah. All right.
So today we're talking about market analysis.
Boom.
It's you may not be listening to this in the fall of 2025, which is when we're recording it, but this is that time of year, and it was so funny, man. One of our clients earlier, phenomenally well-run company, like just you talk about a well-built business, man. That said, this time of year, I find that our appetite for strategy and our belief that we can get anything done is so much greater than at any other time of year.
Wow.
One of the things that they've learned is just to have this immense amount of discipline for limiting. Like, look, man, they're a big company. They're several hundred people and spread across many states. And he was like, look, man, we can get like 5 things done. That's kind of the deal. Like we focus on 5 things. Now, his definition of things is, boulders, big things, right? And the truth is there's hundreds of little things that are going to happen, to enable all those big things to occur. But today is really about how do you determine what things you should accomplish. So you go away and you're setting up a strategic business plan, 3-year, 5-year, 1 year, 6 month. I don't care. But you're setting up a strategic business plan. You got to make decisions about like, hey, dog, sweet. You got to. We're gonna have a buddy on today's show. That's gonna be the way this goes.
If you're
down.
listening, Chad's got his beautiful big black lab here. Oh my God, who needs pets? Oh my God,
he does,
I love it.
and he's gonna be a feature, I'm afraid, in the entire episode, given where he's posted up and given the fact that mom's not home.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, there's nobody coming to save me. It's just me and my buddy Nico. Hey, pal, he's a good boy. God. All right,
I'm so
jealous. You regardless of the duration of your strategic planning cycle, you're always going to ask yourself, as a component of your strategic plan, is like, where are we going to get our business? Where are we going to get our people? And, the answers to those questions, they don't live inside your 4 walls. Mm-hmm. And so that's where market analysis comes in. And I think it's a crucial portion of the strategic planning process that is largely overlooked. Is there aren't real evaluations, assessments of the business that of the market for the potential business and your potential employee base. So that's kind of the way I'd tee it up. And Matt, I just wonder, when you think about a market analysis, what are the things that you'd want to analyze as you were deciding where we're going to get our business from, where we're going to get our people from?
Yeah. And this is a question that we're often thinking about. And I'll tell you one that comes to mind immediately of where you don't get this information from is where you want or hope. And I don't mean that you can't get what you want. It's just that you can't decide that we want that and just assume that it'll be true. So the example I'll give you is was just working on a market analysis, doing a go-to-market strategy with a customer, and had a really great aha working on it together, where they want to be the sexy exterior contractor. And when they're talking to their customers, there's a lot of competition for the sexy work, and it's hard for them to find the right customers and the right niche inside of that sexy work. But there's a lot of dirty work the customers that really need. And so so to kind of flip that answer around and really answer your question, what would you want to analyze? I want to be having so many stinking conversations with customers about what their problems are and what they need. And yeah, and so, you know, I think there's a couple of things about that are really powerful. One is that you actually collect data about what is really a thriving business concept for you for the next 6, 12, 18, 36 months, whatever that looks like. The other thing is, I do think that there is a certain swagger that goes along with going and meeting with customers, not to be like, hey, we're going to, you know, bid all your stuff. We're going to be amazing. And instead to just kind of ask them what's up. Where do you need support? Where do you see holes in the market, and collect information from them about the market, and then kind of walking away and being like, okay, this was great. Like, awesome sitting down with you guys, you know, we'll see where things end up. And, you know, not feeling pressured to like promise them the world in all of those regards either, I think is a really cool thing. So that's the first place I'm going to is go to your customers.
You're going to talk to your customers, and when you're talking to your customers, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying you're going to ask things like, where are you underserved? What are your biggest problems right now? Are there regions that you're struggling to get coverage in? Are there trades where you're struggling to get coverage? Like, is it those types of questions, really digging into their business problems?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I find that I increasingly think about things this way, that I think you go in there with theories, and you go in to ask questions to disprove your own theory. So if your theory is that we I think we could be doing all the sexy work for this customer, you don't want to try to prove that theory, because then you'll ask all the questions that verify your beliefs, and you'll end up walking out hearing what you wanted to hear. But if you go in thinking, I want to prove that I'm wrong about this, you might end up being right. And you might be really, pleasantly surprised that actually, no, after testing them on it, this is the right direction to go. But it gives you some changes your mindset and how you ask those questions.
What's the difference in the way I would ask a question, Matt? Like, I hear what you're saying. If I'm seeking to disprove as opposed to prove, that makes some logical sense. How do I not like lead the witness, and you give me the difference between asking the question with an eye toward disproving as opposed to an eye toward proving?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you might say things like, if I wanted to prove the theory, I would probably say things like, with all of the bigger projects that you guys have going on, that's probably a place where you're typically looking for support, is on the bigger projects, right? Like, if we were bidding your big stuff, that would probably be a good place for us to be, right? And I think that if you're a general contractor or a developer, you want bidding activity. And so you'd be pretty foolish not to say, yes.
Yeah, sure. We'd always love another set of eyes on that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I think the converse to that is saying things like, I would bet that given the fact that you've got so much big work going on, and everybody wants the sexy stuff. So do you have just be honest with me. Do you have a bunch of people that are like really interested? Like, do you already have like some really good bidding participation in the sexy work, cool. the $5 million scope? Yep. And I think that that's valuable, because if it's not true, I think it gives them they'll give you like an honest, like, no, we actually don't. And you'll get really good information, even if that's the case. But then you'll also learn if we do have really good participation there. And so that's how I'd go about it.
Yeah, that's cool. So in addition, I'm going to stack on top of what Matt's talking about in terms of talking to your customers, in addition to just, to interviewing your customers and getting a sense for where their problems are, their needs are, and where the opportunity may lie for you. There's another piece of talking to your customers, which is to truly gauge how they view you. And that can be very difficult to do in a lot of people have stories in their mind that you can't, you don't want to be mean to people, and you can't be harsh with folks. I don't want to upset them or whatever else. But you know what? In this construction industry, I do find that if you just go and talk to your customers and be like, what are like the 3 things that we suck at, man? What are we no good at? What are the things that if you could change about our business, you would change? And I always lead with that to get them picking me apart. And then I'll follow with, is there anything that when you think about working with our company that you really enjoy? Anything that is sort of like top of list, whatever you guys do, don't change this because it's fantastic. Any of those types of things that we should be aware of. Where are we adding the most value? Where are we failing to add value? And these are like scary, courageous questions because you're going to get some pretty harsh feedback, and it's already a pretty full contact industry, through the course of doing projects together. But if you don't have the courage to go down that road, you're not going to get a good sense for how you stack up. And this is the next piece. How do we stack up against our competition?
Mm-hmm.
Are we faster, about the same, slower, right? How do we, what about our quality? How does that stack up? What about our pricing? Mm-hmm. And so on and so forth. So all this will give you a good sense for both what the customer's needs are that perhaps you aren't serving, but then also what you as a company, when you're looking at like, how should we improve our business in the year ahead or the 3 year ahead or whatever, it'll give you a sense for the what your customers care about. Now, and I'll just caution you, one data point isn't enough. And this is another thing. A lot of people do this, or they talk to one customer. That one customer says, we have a ton of work going on in Spokane. And you're like, we got to open an office in Spokane. And that's not enough data. That is one single data point. And I can appreciate that it's a meaningful data point. I'm not throwing it out, but there's inspection there. So to Matt's point, then there's other parts of research that you should be doing with the same mindset of seeking to disprove theories. So one theory is there's a lot of work going on in Spokane, right? It's a theory, that Spokane could be a really good market for us because XYZ Contracting said to, help them out there. That's great. But now we have to dig in and do some actual hard market research. So additional market research for me on top of customer feedback. I want an economic analysis of that region. What are the sectors in the economy? So here's the thing about the construction industry is it is a service industry that serves the broader economy. Every type of a buyer of construction services, you name it, everything from governmental entities to businesses to homeowners. I could just keep going. It would be a boring long list of all the different potential buyer types. That's who drives construction. And so to understand the construction economy that lies ahead of you, you have to understand the broader economy that lies ahead of you, and not just the economic environment, but then also the political environment. Right? And frankly, then once you've got a good figure on, like, these are the places I think I might want to go geographically, market sectors, so on and so forth, then you got to ask yourself, how do I stack up competitively in that space so that you don't show up to the party and realize that, you're 3 feet tall and everybody else is 10 feet tall. You could really put yourself in a bad spot by, placing your bets in that arena. So that market analysis, so economic analysis, all kinds of great available economic data ranging from, construction reports on what's happening in the economy. Dodge does a great job of this, and JLL does a great job of this, and some lots of other outlets. ABC does a great job of it. That'll give you a sense of what's going on from an economic outlook standpoint. And then a political outlook standpoint, where you have to find political channels, and that's a hyper-local experience. We're talking municipal, county, and state, as well as federal. There's certainly federal political environments that can impact your construction economy, but you've got to dig in, you've got to do that research, and figure out where you are best to place your bets, and not just on potential markets that you may want to go to, but super importantly on your core markets today, to determine just how much diversification you really need to weather an upcoming potential storm. Right? You can't foresee everything, right? COVID happened, bang, and nobody built a hotel for 3 years or 2 years or something like that. Couldn't have seen that coming. No economic analysis would have told you that was coming down the line. But there are a lot of things you can see coming, and one pro tip here is follow population growth. That's a pretty simple indicator. Population growth is the number one driver of construction growth.
That's so good.
Yep. And there's pretty good forecasting on where people are moving and, where they're likely to move based on different factors.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So, okay. So you're doing market analysis in the context of researching economic reports and political reports in different areas. You're talking to customers. Is there anything else that goes into this research process for your strategic plan?
Yeah, then there's that competitive analysis, that can be really difficult to pull off. But figuring out who else builds or services these types of buildings, are these types of clients, and in your space, and that can be harder data to come by, but it is gettable. And this is one of the biggest reasons, and I'll throw in a little plug for what I think is one of the roles that every business that's serious about growth, regardless of industry, but certainly in our industry in construction, every business that's serious about growth needs to be taking a good hard look at hiring a research, a data analyst on their staff. Somebody who is looking at this type of information, among many other things. I mean, data science is a phenomenal thing, and having the ability to dig in to that data and recognize trends, that knows how to get this data, knows how to research this information, is a powerful add. But yeah, that competitive analysis and truly understanding who's in it, what's their size, what's their reputation, where do they tend to be pricing wise. Again, some of this data is harder to get than others, but it's all gettable. Damn it, you just have to have a machine geared up to do it, and that's we do that for our customers because they usually don't have that on staff. But having that on staff to me is overhead very well spent.
Yeah. And there seems to me that there's this, and I don't know the right word for it, and you're usually a master with words, so maybe you do have the word for it, but there's also this greater headwinds types of trends that you need to be paying attention to. The example I'll give right now, the obvious one, is AI, which doesn't quite fit neatly in any of the buckets that you just shared, I don't think. But there is I'm having a growing belief in our business personally, and so I feel the same way about our customers, that it would be a gigantic mistake not to place a significant amount of our strategic energy next year into AI. And we already did over the past year, but there is a total change in how businesses are going to deliver their services because of it. And if you're not paying attention to some of these greater headwinds that are going on around you in the market, you might end up getting passed by, even if you're doing the other parts of this that we've talked about so far, you might end up getting passed up by your competition because they're smarter about other market trends that are going on.
Agreed. Headwinds and tailwinds, but both directions. There's the themes in the broader, again, it all just points back to broader economic themes, themes in the broader economy. What can we anticipate? So right now, if you look at the construction economy, frankly, if it weren't for a handful of very active sectors, we would have a pretty weak construction economy nationwide. And if it weren't for a handful of extremely active geographies, we would have a pretty weak construction economy nationwide, right? So data centers, and you talk about AI, this is data centers, as an example. And so, I should be getting into AI. Everybody should be getting into AI, right? We gotta implement this stuff. Certainly, there's huge momentum behind it. And what does that translate into in the construction economy? In addition to like your construction company needing to figure out how to plan for building AI into your business, is data centers are on fire because there's very, very little AI that can happen without data center capacity. I don't see an end in sight. Do you see an end in sight? I don't see an end in sight, but
No.
Guess what? There are some pretty prominent voices that are starting to talk about the dangers of superintelligence and talking about, figuring out how to partner with global leaders to put a pause on the development of all data centers to place a halt on AI. Does it have momentum right now? No, but killer robots haven't shown up yet. So, it's right. But they
do seem like they're getting close. Yeah,
they do seem like they're getting close, and people are becoming more and more cognizant of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that awareness is driving the trend potentially to slowing down in that space. Now, am I advising anybody that's listening to this that's, thinking about getting into building data centers not to do so? Absolutely not. I am not advising you to do that. If I had a place to place my bets, I would still place them there. But there's a risk. And so at the end of the day, diversification.
Yes.
That is the name of the game.
Yes.
And so in I guess I don't know if we're fully closed on this topic, but one of the things that I would say before we close on this topic is that if your business is too dependent on a single geography, on a single sector inside the market, in a single source of candidates, in a there are significant risks associated with not pursuing a plan of diversification. And our most successful clients, year in, year out, the ones that win way more often than they lose, have a lot of small bets placed either geographically or across sectors or both. One's down, the other's up. I was just having just had a strategic planning session with a client yesterday. They have 6 different sectors in their business. And he said, the owner of the company was like, one of the cool things about our business is inevitably there's one sector down and inevitably there's one sector up. And, we always seem to navigate through that just fine.
Yep. And I think to your point about, I think you said at the beginning of this that, market analysis goes into where we're going to get our work and where we're going to get our people. And in the same context that the best businesses make those small bets with where they're going to get their work in different markets and all that. They also have a lot of relationships with people in different parts of the industry that when they need somebody, like I can think of a couple of our customers who, when they need like a CFO, they just like have a person that they already have in mind for the CFO position. And then I can think of ones that are like, a CFO, where would we get a CFO? And it's like, okay, I guess we got to go to a recruiter, and so that just those small bets that you make just by being friends with people is really valuable, because you just don't know where those friendships are going to lead you.
100%.
Yeah. And all of this just kind of, again, maybe this is the bow, but on this topic, all of this just reminds me that strategic planning starts before the retreat for the year or 3 years ahead. And that really, I think what top businesses do is that they're talking about the retreat a lot leading up to it, so that they are focused on the most important things once they get in there and how they're going to do it, versus getting in there and then saying, well, what should we do? And
the retreat is more about alignment and final decision making than it is asking, what are we going to do? Right. If you show up to the retreat and the question is, so what are we going to do next year, folks? That's a pretty good signal that you're missing a lot of the preparation, the necessary research, and preliminary decision making. What would be a great conversation for the retreat is, should we or should we not open an office in XYZ region based on the analytics that everyone
here's
received.
here's the objective ways that we're viewing this. Yeah.
Yep. Fun stuff.
It is. It's great. I think you write it's in the book somewhere that just if you've got a business concept that nobody wants, you will never have a thriving business. You say something like that in your book. And I just think that's just so spot on, just because it's something that you want, something that sounds good to you and that gets you fired up. You've got to make sure it aligns with the market.
Yep. If the market doesn't have that desire, you will find yourself pursuing a dream that nobody else has. So, yeah.
And then along the way, sometimes you'll find these little veins that you can capitalize on, with your strategy, and somebody pulls you to North Carolina, and all of a sudden, there is a lot there. So always keep your eyes open to those opportunities, because you might be able to keep chiseling away at that vein and come away with something really valuable.
Good stuff. Agreed. Cool. Do you want to fight?
Yeah, let's fight.
All right, bit. Cool. So
you were way too nice to me earlier.
So yeah. So the question of the day, the XVY for the day is: should PMs do their own takeoff and budget, or should they roll with what comes out of estimating? And
what's your answer, Chad?
Well, I'm firmly on the side that PMs should do their own takeoff and budget, Mr. Estimator.
Well, this is way too nice of an episode. We're being way too nice to each other today, because I'll tell you what, coming from my estimating background, I can't see an argument for why a project manager should not do their own takeoff and evaluate their own budget. So if that's what you're saying, then we're screwed for fighting today, but we might still be able to have a good conversation about why this is so important to do.
All right. Can we agree I won?
Yeah, you won. Sure. I'm happy with that. That's fine with me. As long as the vibes are good, I'm good with that.
That's awesome. All right, fine. No, I when we talked about this one earlier, it was like, it is hard to argue against. I think in general, and as a side note, I'm specifically talking about this, and I want to make sure you are too. And if you're not, that's okay. Clarify. But I'm specifically talking about this in the context of trade contractors.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So for general contractor, totally different deal. Absolutely, totally different deal.
Yeah, you have that nice, beautiful contract that says the subcontractor owns everything in their scope. So,
yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So this is definitely a trade contractor specific, message. But so in that, this divide. So let's take the subcontractors whose project managers initially estimated the projects, and let's put those off to the side, because remember, we've run an episode, we had a fight about that, where we agreed in general at the end of that conversation that it is good to have separate project management and estimating departments, ultimately long range for companies. And that your project managers should be trained in estimating. They should understand how that process works. And I think that's universal between trade contractors and general contractors. I'd stand by that, across those. But in the trade contractor specific example, where the PM is not the person who originally did the estimate, because then it would be kind of superfluous. You typically have a divide between ops and estimating. And that divide revolves around, you didn't give me enough X or Y or Z to get this project done. Damn you. Right? And
estimating screwed up the bid.
Estimating screwed up the bid. There was never, and it's easy to say at the end of the game. Yeah, the ultimate get out of jail free card. Right. It's the thing that you say at the end of the game. And so take that away and say, all right, PM, here's the deal. Here's plans. You got the deal. We're not going to tell you what we came in at. We're not going to tell you anything. Go ahead and do a takeoff and establish a budget for this project. And unless there's a massive discrepancy between what the project manager and the estimator came up with, we roll with the project manager's budget. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that how you see it?
I'll tell you, I'm totally okay with the project management staff having access to the budget and the original takeoff and all of it. I'm just asking them to get a fresh set of drawings and do their own takeoff for the major scope items. Because I'm not really interested in my project manager nailing the number of screws that we need for the project. But you better darn well make sure that all of our square footages are right, our lineal footages are right, all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, I believe that because estimating has the project for 2 weeks, 3 weeks that they get into it, and then project management owns it for 6, 12, 18, 24 months. And it's honestly not to put responsibility on the project manager and take it from the estimator. I think that the estimator should be held accountable if the project manager finds a bunch of discrepancies, right? It's just that I hate when we find out that we had a bust in the roofing materials in month 9 of the project, and that the answer is, yeah, estimating missed it. And it's like, man, we could have figured this out 9 months ago if we would have taken the time to dig into the drawings and confirm everything in here. And beyond the cost that goes along with the materials at that point, you've also got the relationship risk with the customer. Depending on if you had to order materials, you've also got the time risk, of being able to get the materials. And so it's just a lot of waste that ends up happening. And I can easily see the project management is too busy, argument. And I really do appreciate that. I think being a project manager in a construction industry is one of the hardest jobs that you can have in the industry. It's just such a challenging job. And I just think you're so served by that initial investment of 2 days worth of time to really dig into the project.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said 2 days, right? Because you get into the, why doesn't it happen? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I think, one of the big reasons why it doesn't happen is that project managers say, I don't have time. Mm-hmm. And even more so, maybe leadership says my project managers don't have time. Mm-hmm. And that's what I paid my estimators for. And they put together the bid and we're going to roll with what they got. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so if the upside is, to my point, total ownership, the project manager has total ownership and, of that project and the budget. And on your side is catching issues way before we discover them later and recognizing, what, contingency we no longer have, and things along those lines. Those are two really, really compelling reasons to do it. And then the one, important, I'm not minimizing it, but painful reasons that we don't do it is, I ain't got time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What's your look at that response?
I mean, it's that I totally understand and we still need to do it, and I do think that there's and maybe this helps. I also believe, like when I was running the pre-construction department at the trade contractor that I worked for 7 years, I had this very serious recognition that one of the things that shows up in every contract is what are your durations for your submittals. And it was very common to only be able to capture 2 weeks of durations for all product data submittals and something like 8 weeks for shop drawings. What I do think is totally unfair is to say, hey, project manager, we just won this job. you have to get all the submittals done in 2 weeks and get all the shop drawings done in 8 and make sure it's all submitted and on. I know that it's not necessarily possible in every single trade contracting business, but in my opinion, the way that estimating should work at that moment is that they should take the responsibility for developing all of the product data submittals, working with the vendors or pulling it themselves, depending on the situation in your business, and releasing your long lead time submittals like shop drawings and engineering to be able to get done in time for that time frame. Give the project management staff some buffer to be able to develop, an understanding of the job and dig into the job when they've got a bunch of other stuff, going on. They weren't sitting around. That's a thing I know about like 98% of project managers. They're not sitting around waiting for estimating to win a job and give them another one. They're keeping their fingers crossed, hoping that there's not another one that comes in more often than not. And so do everything you can from the estimating side to give them an ability to be successful. So I don't think that budget necessarily has to be done in day 2 of getting the job, because otherwise I think it's too challenging for the PM to realistically do what they need to do. But my goodness, in the first 4 to 6 weeks of getting the project on their plate, being able to take a day to 2 days to get into it and spend that time with it, I think is very fair and reasonable.
I could not agree with you more, and I love your idea of giving project managers some time back by shifting some of the responsibility on the submittals to the estimating department. I think that's honestly, Matt, I don't think I've given that advice. Personally, I think now I'm often not the one advising those departments, but it's still that's really solid, and I can picture how that helps. And I'll also suggest that the budget from estimating should adequately incorporate project management time. And that a portion of project management time should be wrapped up in this initial takeoff and budget step. And that if you're doing what we have suggested on many occasions, you should be job costing your project managers rather than treating them as an overhead bucket. And you can begin to accurately budget for and sell the value of your project manager's time into those deals. We're not talking about bazillions of dollars here. You're not going to lose a bid because of it. But it is the right way to do it.
Yep. Totally agree. All right.
Which also means you should be doing time tracking.
Oh, what a good point.
Eek.
I know. We did a show about time tracking, right?
Matt, if we haven't done a show on time tracking, I've done something horribly wrong.
Yeah. It is. I told you earlier that I see the light there, because we obviously time track, but I see just so much value in any of our any contractor doing the same. You just learn so much. I mean, my goodness, it makes it so much easier to make so many different decisions. But your point about costing it here makes a lot of sense.
Costing it, yep. And if you really, really want to cost it correctly, track it correctly. Yeah. Otherwise, you're taking a kind of a guess every time.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Doing the halfway method of calling it indirect.
Yes. No, 100%.
Yeah, different topic, perhaps. And we may go deeper down that road in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. All right, so we vehemently agree.
Yeah, and you won anyway, which is a great outcome.
Let's go.
Yeah, which is a great outcome for Chad Prinkey.
Great outcome for me. Oh my gosh, I'm such a small man. I'm such a small person.
No. So what the heck are you reading, Chad?
So you know what, man? You'll probably have reminiscent thoughts. I on Monday this week, and it's a short read. I cracked open Meditations again. Right. And my reading time is before bed, and that is a very calming, read before bed. But yeah, Marcus Aurelius meditations, absolutely every damn time I take a look at the words. They help me to refocus and re-highlight, and I always find myself with a kind of different way that the words hit me. Yeah.
Do you think our audience,
it's a spiritual book?
Yeah, Do you think that they know about meditations and stoicism?
I bet you a lot of them do. There's so much. I mean, you and I, that was one of our early bonding points.
It was,
when we first met.
Sitting in a cafe in Fells Point.
Yeah. What do you like to do in the morning? I like to take a moment.
Yes. Wow. You remember that.
Right?
Yes.
Stoic philosophy. That continues to be a piece of my well-designed mornings, which are fewer and fewer these days.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so Stoic philosophy, to me, if I had to describe it simply, is basically the ability to recognize and kind of moderate your reactions to the world around you. And everything from how you view bad behavior from others, kind of cultivating a sense of empathy and forgiveness quickly so that you can let go of that, to managing anger, recognizing that anger is not serving you. And being 100% responsible for how you feel.
Yes. The separation of what you can control and what you cannot control.
Yeah.
Which I do think it's worth just, doubling down on this for this moment, because I just think that in the construction industry, this is actually one of the best books that you could have sitting on your desk, just to center yourself, because there's so much that's out of your control in the value chain in construction, and you can learn so much and gain so much peace from going to that kind of mindset.
Agreed. So yeah, that's what I'm reading, man. What are you reading?
One of my favorite, I've got to say this. One of my favorite quotes from Meditations, it might not be a quote, but I'm paraphrasing, but Marcus Aurelius says, I overcame my anxiety today. Actually, no, I cast it out from myself because it was within me. And I love that, like, you're in control of that. You are able to take responsibility for that. And meanwhile, he's writing it's his journal from when he was on a war campaign as the emperor of Rome. And it's just really, really powerful that he was having the same exact kind of mental trials and tribulations that all of us do, just as, normal people. And I love that. So anyway, sorry. So what am I reading these days? I'm actually reading nothing new. I find that my brain these days has not been going out and getting anything new. But what I did do is I've gone back to Guns, Germs, and Steel a bit. I got about 20% of the way through it a while ago, and then I've been going back to it a bit. And I love it as like you've said about history before, that you love reading history, and it definitely has that. There's a very peacefulness to it. It also is like the densest thing that maybe I've ever read for pleasure in my life. Describing the different plant types that grew in the whatever valley in 5000 BC, and why those are the plants that survived. And it's just it really is phenomenal. It's so impressive. And
it's a good word.
Yeah. And I think I get more joy out of the kind of the monotony of it than that I'm really like learning something right now. So I'm probably due for another book that really, opens my mind to some new stuff, but that's been a very peaceful read lately. Nice.
Well, yeah. we all need those, man. It's and I think you can tell, the audience probably can tell that that is a large portion of why I read. Is for peace. to know that we've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever here kind of is. And, in a world where we're constantly kind of barraged with like, this has never been done and groundbreaking. And, AI obviously is just such a dominant theme and so much news and so much writing right now. And this, we like just the world will never be the same, well, the world was never the same about 17 trillion times,
Right.
right? And like, we're gonna be just fine. That's fine. History brings me that peace for sure.
Yes, agreed.
Well, cool, man. It was a fun pod.
It's good to be back.
Should
Always
we
good to do
plug
a pod
something?
with you.
Is there something to plug?
It's funny you say that. I was thinking about like giving some customer shout outs here, but beyond that, I mean, we've got so many good boot camps coming up.
We do. We have boot
know,
camps this fall and early winter. We've got a leadership boot camp. We've got a business development boot camp. We've got an estimating boot camp. These are 2-3 day intensives where we're pulling people in to, focus on highly focused training for people in our industry to take that sort of next step in their abilities and in their career as a result. And that's a fact. Those are a lot of fun. If you've ever been to a boot camp with us, please spread the word. If you haven't been to a boot camp with us, it's one of the best experiences I think we offer. So yeah, please check that out.
Yeah, it's a great way to get to know us a little bit if you like the stuff that we're putting out here.
Yeah, true enough. Spend a couple of days of your life. First, spend 2 days of your life doing a takeoff and
yes,
doing a budget on the job.
Priorities.
But then get your butt on over to a boot camp.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. All right, cool.
And then I'll just shout out Chip Kessler with WSJ because I'm pretty sure he's listening. He's always listening, and Tom Quinlan with South Coast. I know you're listening too. So thank you guys. It's good stuff.
We love and appreciate you guys for putting your faith in us, and thanks for spreading the word.
Yes, absolutely. All right, CP. It's a great time. Thanks
All
for
right,
everything.
MV. Later, brother.
All right, bye guys.